So good day everyone. So for today, we will start to discuss the third chapter under our subject General Mathematics, which is all about logic. So objectives for today, we have to illustrate a proposition, symbolizes propositions, distinguishes between simple and compound propositions, performs the different types of operations on propositions, and illustrates the different forms of conditional propositions. So let's start with the definition of logic. So when we say logic, it defines a formal language for representing the knowledge and for making logical inferences that helps us to understand how to construct a valid argument. So logic defines the syntax of statements, the meaning of statements, and the rules of logical inferences. So let's have the first topic under the chapter 3 logic. We have the proposition. So when we say proposition, or also known as a statement, it is a declarative sentence which is either true or false but not both. So meaning, in proposition po, dapat declarative sentence lang siya. Kasi meron tayong iba't ibang types ng sentence. We have interrogative, we have exclamatory, we have imperative. And this one, we have the declarative. So when we say declarative po, that is a statement that ends with a period. Pag interrogative, that is asking questions, that ends with a question mark. Pag exclamatory, that is ends with an exclamation point. And for imperative, you are seeking or asking for a help. So make sure that before you say that the given statement is a proposition, it must be a declarative sentence, which is answerable by either true or false, but not both. So hindi po dapat sila pwedeng masagot pareho na true at false. Either of the two lamang. Okay, so we have what we call propositional variable. So when we say propositional variable, it is a variable which is used to represent a proposition. So variable, that is any letter from the alphabet. So let's say for letter A, you have the given proposition. So that proposition po, ang represent is letter A. And then letter B, you have another proposition, and then that is represented by the variable letter B, and so on and so forth. So under the proposition, we have two types. We have simple and compound proposition. So when we say simple proposition or atomic, a proposition which is not compound that conveys one thought. So, ibig sabihin, yung given statement mo is isa lang yung thought na sinasabi. For example, Miss Lorraine loves color pink. So that conveys one thought. So that is a simple proposition. Miss Lorraine wants to eat hamburger. So that is a simple proposition since that conveys one thought. Unlike for the compound proposition, it is a proposition composed of two or more simple proposition connected by logical connectives, such as and, or, if then, not, and if and only if. So meaning here po in compound proposition, yung given na proposition is meron ng logical connectives at make sure po na yung statement mo is can stand alone. Okay? For example, this is your statement. Miss Lorraine wants to eat hamburger and Mr. Gubb wants to play basketball. So in the given statement, you have two, conveys two thoughts. Tama? Two or more na. So the two simple proposition na siya. So that is a compound proposition. And nagsa-stand alone yung iyong two given na statements. Okay? Pero hindi po ibig sabihin na kapag may end na agad sa sentence is compound na yan. For example, Miss Lorraine wants to eat ice cream and french fries. So, may word siya na end or may connective siya na end. Pero, yung given mo na statement is isa lang ang thought na sinasabi at hindi kaya mag-stand alone nung isa mo pang, nung dinugtong mo sa end, which is yung french fry. So, simple proposition pa din po siya. Make sure na mag-stand alone yung dalawa mong given na statement pagkatapos mo idinugtong yung logical connectives. Okay, so let's have an example. So in this example po, all you have to do is to identify if the given statement is a proposition or not. So again, when can we say that the given statement is a proposition or not? it must be a declarative sentence, and it must be answerable by true or false. And then we can say that it is not a proposition if it is answerable both by true and false. And of course, if it is not a declarative sentence. Okay, so let's have an example. Example number 1. Manila is the capital of the Philippines. Is that a proposition or not a proposition? Okay, yes, that is a proposition since we can answer that as true since that statement is true. So that is a proposition. Next, number 2. What day is it? What day is it? So in number 2 po, you are asking a question. So that is an interrogative sentence, not a declarative sentence. So matik, that is not a proposition. Next, number 3, help me please. So in help me please, you are seeking or asking for help. So that is not answerable by true or false. So meaning that is not a proposition. Next, for number 4, he is handsome. He is handsome. Okay, so for number 4 po, ang tumatakbo sa isip nyo, that is a proposition, ma'am, kasi we can answer that by yes, by true or false. But the question is, sino po si he? Ayan. So, hindi naging specific kung sino si he. Kung merong, kung naging specific siya kung sino si he, like, Miguel is handsome. So, you can answer that if it is true or false. But since he lang ang sinabi, hindi siya naging specific, hindi mo alam kung sino si he, then that is not a proposition. Okay, next, number 5, there is night on Mars. There is night on Mars. We can answer that by true or false. So, that is a proposition. Next, number 6, Rodrigo Duterte is the President of the Philippines. Of course, ma'am, that is true. So, that is a proposition. So, how about number 7? If we will compare it to number 6, we have Rodrigo Duterte is the best president of the Philippines. There is a word best. There is a word best. Is that a proposition or not a proposition? Okay. So, tingnan po natin maigi ha. Meron ng word na best. So, ibig sabihin po, in the statement of number 7, that is an opinionated statement. Kasi maaaring kay Miss Lorraine, si Rodrigo Duterte is the best president. Pero maaaring sa'yo, he is not the best president of the Philippines. So, at the question po or the given statement po is answerable both by true and false since that is an opinionated statement, and that is what we call paradox. Okay? So, opinionated siya na statement. So, ibig sabihin po, that is not a proposition. And then last number, we have number 8, x plus 4 is equal to 9. Is that a proposition or not a proposition? Okay. So, as you can see po, that is not a proposition since wala pong value si x. Maaaring pag nilagay mo, 5, halimbawa 5 ang nilagay mong value ng x, 5 plus 4 is equals to 9, then that is true. But what if one of your classmate, nilagay niya sa value ng x is 4. So 4 plus 4 is equals to 9, that is false. So ang nangyari na po, naging iba na po yung naging magkaiba na po yung answer nyo, naging true and false na po. So, that is not a proposition. Pero kung may nakalagay po na value ng x dyan, then you can answer if it is true or false. Okay? Ayan. So, let's have the operation on proposition, the 5 main logical connectives, which are the and, or, not, if then, and if and, only if. And that is the 5 operation of proposition. So, let's have the first one. First one, we have conjunction. So, when we say conjunction, the proposition P and Q is the compound proposition of P and Q. So, for conjunction, the logical connective being used is the word and the symbol is arrow up. So, given po here in the table, P is your first statement, Q is your second statement. What will be the result if you combine your first and second statement by the logical connective and? Okay. So, let's have your table. If your first statement is true and your second statement is true, then the whole statement, or if you connect it by the word and, then the whole statement will be true. Next, first statement is true, second statement is false, then the whole statement will be false. Next, third, we have first statement is false, second statement is true, then the whole statement will be false. And last, first statement is false, second statement is also false, then the whole statement will be false. So, meaning po, in the conjunction, ayan, given po dyan dalawang statement, alamin mo muna kung true or false ba yung first statement, true or false ba yung second statement, and then dito ka po magbe-base ng iyong final answer. So, ang tatandaan ninyo kay conjunction, kapag parehong true, then the whole statement will be true. The rest, false. Again, ang tatandaan kay conjunction, if the given statement is both true, then the whole statement will be true. The rest, false. So, let's have an example. For number 1, our first statement, 2 plus 6 is equal to 9, and the logical connective is and. Second statement, man is a mammal. So, alamin mo muna, true or false ba yung first and second statement, and then makukuha mo na ang iyong final answer by following the rule of the conjunction, yung nasa table. Ayan. So, 2 plus 6 is equal to 9. Of course, that is false. Man is a mammal. That is true. And according to the rule of conjunction, if your first statement is false and your second statement is true, what will be the final answer? Ayan, puntahan ulit natin yung table. First statement po is false, second statement is true. So, ito po yun. What will be your final answer? So, final answer po will be false. Okay? So, this will become false. Next, number 2. Manny Pacquiao is a boxing champion. Yes, that is true. Gloria Macapagal is the first female Philippine president. That is false. Since Cory Aquino po is the first female Philippine president. So, according to the rule of the conjunction, because the logical connective use is and, if your first statement is true and your second statement is false, final answer will be also false. Ayan. Ano lang ba ang tatandaan nyo kay conjunction? Pag parehong true, tsaka lang magiging true. The rest, false na. Okay, so let's have number 3. Ferdinand Marcos is the only 3-term Philippine president. Ayan, that is our first statement. And of course, this is true. And the Philippine Senate is composed of 24 senators, which is also true. And the logical connective being used is the word and. So, your first statement is true and your second statement is also true. Your final answer will be, ayan, according to the rule of the conjunction, both statement is true, then the whole statement po will always be true. Ayan. So, ang tatandaan nyo lang po kay conjunction, kay and, na may symbol na arrow up. Kapag parehong true, the rest of the final answer will be true. The rest po will be false. Okay, let's have the second logical connective, which is called disjunction. The proposition P, Q is the compound proposition P or Q. So, here, in disjunction po, the logical connective being used is the word or. And the symbol is arrow down. Ayan. If in conjunction, it is arrow up and the word and, here in disjunction, that is or and arrow down. Okay? So, let's see for the table of disjunction. As you can see po, for the table of disjunction, we have here, look at the final answer. If both of your statement is false, then the whole statement will be false. The rest, true. Ayan, parang kabaliktaran siya ni conjunction. Kay conjunction kasi, kapag parehong true yung statement mo, final answer will be true. The rest, false. Dito naman, kay disjunction, kapag parehong false ang statement mo, final answer will be false. The rest, true. So, meaning po, if merong isang statement na true, ibig sabihin, final answer will always be true. And your first and second statement, which is being false po, final answer will be false. Okay? Okay. Next, Let's have an example under the disjunction. So for disjunction, again, make sure that you will see first the logical connective being used. We have here the word or. So let's check our first statement. So first statement, we have 2 plus 6 is equal to 9. Let's identify if it is true or false. So of course, 2 plus 6 is equal to 9. This is false. And Manny Pacquiao is a boxing champion, which is true. And according to the rule of disjunction, if one of the statement is true, then final answer will be true. Okay? Next, for number 2, we have the Philippine Senate is composed of 24 senators. That is your first statement. Your second statement is Gloria Macapagal is the first female Philippine president. So let's identify if your first statement is true or false. So we have Philippine Senate is composed of 24 senators, which is true. And then, second statement, Gloria Macapagal is the first female Philippine president. We have, that is false since our first female president is Cory Aquino. So according to the rule of the disjunction, if your first statement is true and your second statement is false, then the whole statement will always be true. And that will be the final answer. Okay, next for number 3, we have Ferdinand Marcos is the only 3-term Philippine president, or man is a mammal. So Ferdinand Marcos is the only 3-term Philippine president. That is your first statement, and we all know that that is true. And man is a mammal. That is also true. First statement is true, second statement is true. What will be the final answer? So final answer will be true. Yan. So, again, reminder, in disjunction, if both of your statement is false, then the whole statement will be false. Okay? Next, we have the third logical connectives type of the proposition. We have the negation. So, in negation, we have the proposition P is denoted by not P, where this symbol po means it is a tilde. Ayan. Is the symbol for not. So, meaning po, in negation, all you have to do is to negate the word not. If your statement is true, all you have to do is to make it false. If it is false, then you need to make it true. Okay? So, the contradiction lang po. Iko-contradict mo lang yung iyong statement. Given po, ma'am, paano kapag may not na sa statement, then aalisin mo lang yung word na not para makontradict mo na yung given na statement. Kapag wala pa siyang not, then lalagyan or magne-negate ka lang po ng word na not. So, let's have an example. For number 1, we have 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. Well, that is true. And how can you make this statement false since that is the rule for the negation? So, your answer must be 3 plus 5 is not equal to 8. That's why your statement will become false. Okay, next, how about for number 2? For number 2, we have Sophia is a girl. Sophia is a girl. So, negate this given statement. It will become Sophia is not a girl. Okay, next for number 3, Akayak is not here. Akayak is not here. As you can see, there is a word not. Okay, so there is a word not. So, given po natin kanina, sabi natin kapag may not na sa given na statement at kailangan natin i-negate, then tanggal lang po. So, aalisin lang po natin siya. So, it will become, Akayak is here. So, dito po sa statement natin sa number 2 po, Sophia is a girl. Tapos, iko-contradict mo yung given na statement na yan. Your answer will be Sophia is not a girl, or accepted din po yung answer na Sophia is a boy. Since na-contradict mo pa din po yung statement na given. Sabi kasi Sophia is not a girl. So, ibig sabihin, kinontradict mo na siya, Sophia is a boy. Okay? Ayan. Next, we have fourth. Okay, fourth types po ng ating main logical connectives, we have the conditional. So, This is also known as implication. The proposition P and Q is the compound proposition if P, then Q. So, meaning po, ang ginamit po natin ditong logical connectives is if and then. Ayan. And then, yung kanya pong symbol is arrow to the right, which is called implies. Since another term po for conditional is implication, we read this as implies. So, P implies Q. So, tingnan po natin yung table ni conditional. So, according to the rule of the conditional po, ayan, kung mapapansin ninyo, magiging false lang po ang inyong magiging final answer kapag yung first statement nyo ay true at second statement nyo ay false. Okay? The rest po, true na. Again, kay conditional, magiging false lang ang final answer ninyo kapag ang first statement nyo ay true at second statement nyo ay false. The rest, true na po. So, let's have an example. So, if vinegar is sweet, then sugar is sour. So, ang ating first statement po is false agad-agad. Vinegar is sweet daw. That is false. Second statement natin, sugar is sour. That is also false. At according to the rule of conditional, kapag pareho pong false, what will be the final answer? Final answer will be true. Okay? Next, for number 2, we have 2 plus 5 is equals to 7 is a sufficient condition. So, another connective lang po yan under ng conditional. Meron naman siyang word dyan na condition. Ayan. For 5 plus 6 is equal to 1. So, let's identify. First statement, 2 plus 5 is equals to 7. That is true. 5 plus 6 is equal to 1. That is false. Ayan. And according to the rule of conditional, if your first statement is true and your second statement is false, what will be the final answer? Ayan. So, siya yung nag-iisang false doon. Final answer will be false. Okay, and last number, 14 minus 8 is equal to 4. That is your first statement, which is false. Is a necessary condition that 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2, which is true. False and then true. So, ang sabi doon, if false then true, anong magiging final answer natin? We have true. So, tatandaan po, kay conditional, magiging false lang ang inyong final answer kapag first statement ay true at second statement ay false. Final answer will be false. The rest, true. Okay? Next, last, we have biconditional. The proposition P and Q is the compound proposition P if and only if Q. So, the logical connective being used in the biconditional po is if and only if, and the symbol is arrow. Pareho po. Arrow to the right and arrow to the left. Ayan. So, which is read as if and only if. So, dito naman sa biconditional, sa table niya or sa rule niya, makikita natin na kapag parehong true at kapag parehong false, then the whole statement will be true. Kapag magkaiba, will be false. So, again, para lang siyang multiplying multiplying like and unlike signs. Kasi di ba kapag nag-multiply ka ng pareho ng sign, kapag nag-multiply ka ng parehong positive, answer positive. Pag nag-multiply ka ng parehong negative, answer positive pa din. Tapos kapag nag-multiply ka ng parehong or magkaiba, positive at negative, always negative. So parang doon nyo siya mai-apply. Pag parehong true at pag parehong false, always true. Pag magkaiba, always false. Okay? Ayan. So, tingnan natin sa ating example. We have 2 plus 8 is equal to 10. Well, that is true. If and only if 6 minus 3 is equal to 3. That is true. O, according to the rule, pag parehong true kay biconditional, anong ang final answer? We have true. Okay. Next, for number 2, Manila is the capital of the Philippines, which is true. And then, fish live in the moon. We have false. At kapag magkaiba po, ano ang final answer kay biconditional? We have false. And last one, 8 minus 2 is equal to 5. That is false. 4 plus 2 is equals to 7. That is also false. At kapag parehong false, what will be the final answer? We have true. Okay? So, ayun po yung ating 5 main logical connectives. So, review po tayo. We have 5. We have conjunction, disjunction, negation, conditional, and biconditional. So, for conjunction, we use the logical connective and then yung kanyang symbol po is arrow up. At ang tatandaan niya sa kanya kapag parehong true, always true, the rest false. Next, for disjunction naman, we have logical connective or. Ang kanyang symbol ay arrow down. Ang tatandaan niyo naman sa kanya kapag parehong false, always false, the rest true. Next, for negation, yung kanya pong logical connective is not at ang kanyang symbol ay tilde. Ang tatandaan niyo lang kay negation, kapag yung given statement ay true, gagawin yung false. Kapag ang given na statement ay false, gagawin yung true. So, magne-negate lang kayo ng word na not. At kapag given na yung word na not, aalisin lang po siya para manegate. And then next, for number 4, we have the conditional. So, for conditional po, we use the if and then for the logical connective, and the symbol po is arrow to the right, which is read as implies. And then for the rule of conditional, we have if your first statement is true and second statement is false, then the whole statement will always be false. The rest, true. And last po, we have biconditional. For biconditional po, the logical connective being used is if and only if. And the symbol po is arrow to the right and arrow to the left. So, ang tatandaan kay biconditional, pag parehong true at kapag parehong false, always true. Kapag magkaiba po, true, false, false, true, always false. Okay? Ayan. So, next, let's have the 3 types of conditional. But before that, let's have this given example. So, I have here my Facebook account. And in my Facebook account po, I have a notification. So, let's have my notification. So, Sir Mark Anthony Corres updated his Facebook status. So, that is my notification. So, let's have the status from Sir Mark Anthony Corres. So, according to Sir Mark Anthony Corres, guys, lumindol kahapon. If this will continue, then it means the end is near. And that is 3 minutes ago. So, one of his friends, Sir Mac Gabriel Villafranca, replied, maniwala ako, if the end is near, then it will continue. And that is 2 minutes ago. Another friend of Sir Mark Anthony Corres replied, Ma'am Stephanie Justness, OMG, if this will not continue, then it means the end is not near, and that is 1 minute ago. And just now, Sir Jerome Ramos replied, ano daw? If the end is not near, then it will not continue. So, let's have the given status and the replies from Sir Mark Anthony Corres' friends. So, let's compare their given statements. So, according to Sir Mark po, we have here the if and then statement. And this will be the first statement and this will be the second statement. So, let's see. Ano ang ginawa ng friends niya, nung mga friends niya sa kanyang given na statement? Okay. So, kay Sir Gob, ang ginawa niya, yung if part niya po is yung then part ni Sir Mark. Tama? Yung if the end is near, which is ito po. If the end is near. So, ito po yun. Ibig sabihin, yung if part ni Sir Mark, naging then part ni Sir Gob. Yung then part ni Sir Mark, naging if part ni Sir Gobs. Ibig sabihin, anong ginawa sa statement? In-interchange lang po. Ayan, so in-interchange. And one of the types of a conditional statement is a converse statement. So when we say converse statement po, so given po natin, P implies Q. P is your first statement, Q is your second statement. All you have to do to make it a converse statement is you will interchange. So, it will become Q implies P. So, yung P mo magiging Q, yung Q mo magiging P sa converse statement. Okay? Next, tingnan naman natin yung reply ni Ma'am Stephanie Justness. Ayan. So, given po natin yung if part niya, same pa din sa if part ni Sir Mark. Yung then part niya, same pa din sa then part ni Sir Mark. Pero meron siyang dinagdag. Ano yung dinagdag niya? Nag-negate siya ng word na not sa parehong statement, sa first and second statement. And this is the second type of conditional statement, which is an inverse statement. Okay? Inverse statement. So, in inverse statement po, all you have to do is to negate the word not in your first and second statement. Hindi ka po mag-i-interchange. Magne-negate ka lang ng word na not. Okay. Next, pagdating kay Sir Jerome, if the end is not near, then it will not continue. So, as you can see po, kung i-compare natin siya doon sa post ni Sir Mark, ang ginawa ni Sir Jerome, in-interchange niya muna yung given na statement, tapos nag-negate siya ng word na not. Nag-interchange na, nag-negate pa. So, kung magbe-base na lang tayo sa reply ni Ma'am Steph, para makuha natin yung kay Sir Jerome, ang ginawa na lang ni Sir Jerome is nag-interchange na lang po siya. And that is a contrapositive statement. Okay, so again, for contrapositive statement po, all you have to do for the given conditional statement, which is yung post ni Sir Mark, is you will interchange the first and second statement, and then after that, you will negate. You will negate the word not. Okay? Ayan. So, ayan, pag-usapan po natin ulit si conditional statement. So, given lang po natin dito yung mga definitions ng tatlo. So, again, when we say conditional statement, are subdivided into two parts, namely hypothesis, which is the if part, and denoted by the variable P, and conclusion, which is the then part, and denoted by the variable Q. To represent the conditional, we write if P, arrow to the right, then Q, or P arrow to the right, Q reads as P, implies Q. The symbol arrow to the right indicates an implication. So, meaning po, in conditional statement, your if part is your hypothesis, and that is denoted by the variable P. And then your then part is the conclusion, and that is denoted by the variable Q. So, meaning po, for the conditional statement, you will have P implies Q, where P is your first statement or your hypothesis, and Q is your second statement or your conclusion. So, first under ni conditional po, we have converse. Diba, galing tayo sa P implies Q kay conditional. Dito kay converse, it is formed by interchanging the hypothesis and conclusion. So, all you have to do is to interchange. Pagpapalitin mo lang po yung place ng iyong given na statement. So, di ba given natin P implies Q? Gagawin mo lang, magiging Q implies P. So, pagpapalitin mo lang po yung given na conditional statement para siya po ay maging converse statement. Pangalawa, we have inverse. So, inverse naman po, the hypothesis and the conclusion is being negated of the word not. So, magne-negate ka lang po ng word na not. So, ibig sabihin, kapag may not na, para ma-negate mo siya, tatanggalin mo lang siya. Okay? So, ang ating conditional statement ay P implies Q. To make it an inverse statement, all you have to do is to negate the word not. Not P implies not Q. Okay? And last one, we have contrapositive statement. It is the hypothesis and conclusion are being interchanged and negated. Ibig sabihin, for the given conditional statement, in-interchange mo na siya, ninegate mo pa. So, unahin mo munang mag-interchange. Given mo P implies Q. Nag-interchange ka, magiging Q implies P. Tapos, nag-negate ka pa, magiging not Q implies not P for contrapositive statement. Okay, so let's have an example. So our example number 1, if I do my homework, then I get my allowance. So this is your conditional statement. Your if part or your P is I do my homework. Your Q is I get my allowance. So what will be the converse? Again, when we see converse statement po, all you have to do is to interchange. So, magiging Q implies P lang. Kaya, your converse statement will be If I get my allowance, then I do my homework. So, as you can see po, nagpalit lang sila, no? Yung if part ni conditional, naging then part ni converse. Yung then part ni conditional, naging if part ni converse. Kasi nga, interchange lang. Next, what will be the inverse? O, pag sinabi namang inverse, you will negate the word not. Walang mangyayaring interchange. So, magbe-base ka pa din sa iyong conditional statement. O, magne-negate ka lang ng word na not. So, inverse statement will be, if I don't do my homework, or if I do not do my homework, then I do not get my allowance. So, dito po siya nag-negate. Ayan. So, pinagsama lang sila or pinaikli. We have negated the word not in the inverse statement. Same pa din po ha, hindi kayo mag-interchange. Same pa din sila ng conditional, nga lang magne-negate na kayo ng word na not. And last one for contrapositive. Ayan. So for contrapositive po, ang sabi natin doon, we will interchange the conditional at the same time we will negate. So ibig sabihin, kung mag-interchange ka at magne-negate ka, tingin ka na lang po saan? Ayan. So, tingin ka na lang po sa iyong inverse. Kasi si contrapositive po ay converse ni inverse. Okay? Si contrapositive ay converse ni inverse. Ibig sabihin po, galing ka sa inverse, pagpunta mo ng contrapositive, interchange na lang. Kasi sa inverse na, negate na siya. Okay? Interchange mo na lang po yung inverse. Ayan. Next, another example. We have, if Pluto is not a planet, then the Sun is the center of the solar system. And this is the conditional statement. As you can see po, there is a word not in your first statement or in your if part. So, what will be the converse? Sa converse, wala kang babaguhin sa statement. Ano lang ang gagawin mo? I-interchange mo lang. So, pagpapalitin mo lang po, yung P mo magiging Q, yung Q mo magiging P. So, it will become, ayan. So, if the Sun is the center of the solar system, then Pluto is not a planet. Again, wala kayong babaguhin sa statement. Ano lang ang gagawin ninyo? Mag-i-interchange lang po. That is the converse. What will be the inverse? So, for the inverse naman, you have to negate the word not. Paano pag present na si not sa given mong statement? Then, anong gagawin mo? Aalisin lang po. Okay? Aalisin. So, magiging, since may not na dyan, if Pluto is a planet, ayan, tinanggal mo na ngayon yung word na not. If Pluto is a planet, then the Sun is not. Ayan, nag-negate ka ng word na not sa second statement dahil walang not sa given na conditional. Ayan, so then the Sun is not the center of the solar system. And last one, for the contrapositive, all you have to do is to interchange the inverse. So, pagpapalitin mo lang po sila or pagbabalik ta rin. So, magiging if the Sun is not the center of the solar system, then Pluto is a planet. And that will be the contrapositive. Okay, last one. We have the given conditional statement. Ayan. So, if Superman is the Man of Steel, then Batman is the Dark Knight. So, what will be the converse? Converse will be, if Batman is the Dark Knight, then Superman is the Man of Steel. So, anong ginawa? Interchange. Okay? Interchange lang po. Next, for the inverse naman. Sa inverse, magbe-base ka sa conditional and then negate the word not. Okay po? So, if Superman is not the Man of Steel, then Batman is not the Dark Knight. So, negate the word not. Okay? And then, last one, for the contrapositive, all you have to do is to converse the inverse. O, pagbabalik-tarin mo lang yung inverse. So, magiging, if Batman is not the Dark Knight, then Superman is not the Man of Steel. Okay? So, anong ginawa? Converse ni inverse. Okay. So, kabaliktaran lang po siya ni inverse. Okay po? So, that will be our lesson for this week. So, if you have any other question, then you can ask your question in our synchronous class. So, thank you for watching.